This defense is playing at a special level, and what they did yesterday to hold Josh Allen on that offense to 12 points in their building, pretty awesome. Great day by the defense. Let's talk about it with the voice of the Eagles, Merrill Reese, who was on the call yesterday. Merrill, good morning.
Hi, it's a great morning. It's a crummy morning weather-wise, but it's a good feeling to know that the Eagles are now 11-5 and come away from Buffalo with a win.
Yes, a place that it's not easy to win, especially in December. Merrill, let's talk about the driving force yesterday, which was that defense. Merrill, just a dominant effort against one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL and a team that scores a lot of points. I'm running out of adjectives to describe how great this defense is. Sometimes it feels when I watch like there's 12 players out there. They just swarm to the ball.
Well, you're right. You are absolutely right. They are that good. They're well choreographed. There's great teamwork. There's leadership. There's a physicality to that defense. They're playing great football. But you know what? Everybody's saying, well, what's wrong with the offense again? They don't play a full game. They have all their points in the first half. Yeah, you guys can't imagine how bad that weather was. It was icy rain. I think Jalen Hurts really deserves a lot of credit for the fact that the ball wasn't slipping out of his hands. There were no muff fumbles. There were no poor handoffs. There were no interceptions. I think the fact that you didn't lose that game is a real plus because really, if you look at it, Josh Allen lost the game for the Bills. He really did. He had one fumble that was recovered 40 yards downfield, and that led to the first touchdown, or the only Eagles touchdown. And then later in the game, when they were already in field goal range, which would have made a big difference had they converted it, he went backwards and took a 19-yard sack because instead of getting rid of the ball, he tried to make something happen. So he lost it. Jalen Hurts didn't make any of those mistakes. And the other thing is you talk about the fact that he didn't complete the passes in the second half. He didn't pick up the first downs. He had a great shot at Devontae Smith, who went up, made the catch, and then came down, and they said he didn't make a football move. So that was negated. And later, there was a gorgeous pass to A.J. Brown, who would have taken it into the end zone, except that his left arm was being held, and he had to try to make it through the rain with one hand. But it was a perfectly thrown pass.
Merrill, what did you think about the officiating as a whole yesterday? I was pretty annoyed watching a couple of those. You mentioned the play where AJ's arm was hooked. I thought that was clear interference. They did not call it. And then there was one on the opposite side where they called interference on Quinyon Mitchell. And look, there was some contact. I'm not saying he was no contact, but I thought it was a little ticky-tack. I didn't see that as egregious to where they had to call pass interference. I thought it was not a great day for the refs yesterday.
Well, I agree with you on that one. And here's the interesting thing. In calling that play, as they came down, and it was right in front of me, I said, and it is incomplete. And then I looked and I said, and there are no flags because there was nothing being thrown. And then the official who was standing right there took the flag out of his pocket. It's like he said, I guess I should throw this one, but it was very indecisive.
It was indecisive, Merrill, and I didn't think they should throw it there. We're talking to Merrill Reese, the voice of the Eagles, after a 13-12 victory. Merrill, the other part of yesterday that was all eyes were on where the return of Jalen Carter. He missed some games here, the shoulder issues. He had some injections in there to try to get the strength back. And Merrill, I was pleasantly surprised with what he was able to do in just his first game. I thought he was impactful, had the sack, had a quarterback hit, and then Merrill, I think that's his third blocked kick of the year, which is an enormous amount for anyone. And Merrill, I think that play won the game. I mean, if he doesn't block that extra point and the Bills score again, they probably make the next extra point, and the Eagles probably lose that game.
Well, you're probably right, but he is a force. And the other thing that I will say is that I was a little bit surprised. I like Sean McDermott. He's a great guy, and I think he's a very, very good coach. But I think he made a big mistake at the end because I think when you're a coach with a team that has a lot at stake, you have to extend your chance of winning to the nth degree. You have to extend that chance of winning. You can't put that game on a 2-point conversion right there, particularly when they had momentum and the Eagles' defense has got to be tired.
Well, that was an interesting call, and they went for it. And I thought Allen missed an open receiver in the back of the end zone that would have won the game. He didn't get it. Eagles win. All right, Merrill, let's spin forward. Typically when the Eagles are faced with decisions, whether to rest or not, they err on the side of caution. They do it in the preseason. They do it in late scenarios in the season, like let's say last year when Saquon Barkley had a chance at a record, they sat people down. Merrill, this is an interesting one this coming Sunday because they do have a chance at the number 2 seed. They would need to win. They would need the Bears to lose. They're playing the Lions at home. Merrill, what do you think about the idea of sitting the starters Sunday versus should they play and try their best for the number 2 seed?
Joe, when the Eagles went to the Super Bowl, when they won Super Bowl 52, they had 2 home games, and they won them each. Mm-hmm. When the Eagles went last year, they were a 2 seed, and then Washington knocked off the 1 seed. So they ended up with 3 home games. I think it is very, very important to win this game, assuming, of course, that the Bears don't go ahead and lose anyhow. But I think if they can win this game, and if the Bears lose, and I think that's a real possibility because Detroit is not going to pack it in. That's not Dan Campbell, and plus they're coming off a bad game against Minnesota with Jared Goff not playing well. I think that Detroit has a good chance to beat the Bears. And for that reason, I think it's imperative for the Eagles to come out and with their first spring, they'll beat Washington. I'm not so sure they couldn't beat Washington with their backups, but I don't think you want to take that chance. I think you have to take this game and play it to win with your regulars, and if you can, late in the game, take them out once things are secured or once you see that the Bears are way behind the Lions. But I think you want to win this game, and I think it's really important.
Yeah, it's going to be a big decision by Nick Sirianni, and I wouldn't be surprised, Merrill, if your instinct is theirs, and they try to win this football game on Sunday against the Commanders. Merrill, we appreciate you hopping on as always. Have a great rest of your week. Happy New Year, and we will chat on Sunday before the finale of the regular season on the pregame show.
Absolutely, Joe. Always fun being on with you guys. Hugh, have a good afternoon.
Hey, you too, Merrill. Have a good one.
There he goes, the voice of the Eagles, Merrill Reese. All right. Hugh, I'm sure we'll spend a lot of time tomorrow on this. We're also going to ask Jason Avant his thought on it. But what's your first instinct here, Hugh, on the decision whether to sit or to play on Sunday? So the scenarios are pretty clear. If the Eagles are the 3 seed, which is where they are right now, they only can play 2 teams. They could play the Rams or the 49ers. That's it. One of those 2 teams has to be the 6 if the Eagles obviously are the 3. If the Eagles can get up to 2, which would mean they have to win the game on Sunday against the Commanders, and the Bears have to lose at home to the Lions. If those 2 things happen, Eagles are the 2, which means they play the Green Bay Packers, who are locked into the 7 seed. Hugh Douglas, you're the decision maker. Your first instinct on this Monday.
I'm playing. On Monday, I'm playing. This offense needs all the reps it can get. Defense is playing well. I know you talk about the fact that guys are getting hurt, and you talking about Green Bay and the injuries that they were decimated with late in the season. I know that's a chance you take, man. But what are we resting for?
Well,
to get everybody healthy.
Yeah, exactly.
But we're going to be rusty. We already our offense is 21 points is the ceiling.
Well, hold on. Can I ask you a question?
What?
What the hell is going to be the point of getting the offense reps in Week 18?
No, it's about trying to get the seed.
I mean, can we
are you on the Saquon Barkley if you figure it out, Trey?
Hey, listen.
They're not going to figure anything out on offense.
I never said figure it out.
Well, you're talking about getting reps. Who the hell cares?
You don't think wait a minute. Okay. You don't think they need reps?
What are reps going to
do? What is giving them reps going to do?
It would keep them healthy, Hugh.
Yes.
It's keep them healthy, but the offense still going to look the same.
Yeah, exactly.
They need to play.
Well, I'm more concerned of the health on the other side.
The defense.
No, I get what you're saying.
Quinyon twists a knee, Cooper twists a knee. We're in trouble.
We can ill afford
You're right.
to have any of those defensive players hurt.
Well,
but we can ill afford to have this offense to sputter when it's already sputtered. So you talking about giving them some rest and letting them go into a game with a week's full of rest?
Going out there and playing against the Commanders isn't going to do anything for the offense.
Listen, let me tell you. Well, and you know what? I get what you're saying from the standpoint of, you got hat to the back Coach Quinn talking about, I can't wait to see him again. You know what I mean? That foolishness.
If you want, if you want to talk about going out there to be a little petty, maybe we can have a chat. But the risk doesn't outweigh the reward for me.
No, I hear what you're saying.
Their ticket to winning it all is the defense. Yeah. And the defense, by the way, can travel.
Defense does.
The defense can go on the road and win you a game.
We just saw it yesterday. We saw Green Bay, right?
That's exactly right.
This team has done that. So there's a couple things to unpack here. I think the first and biggest thing is how big is the reward, right? So Merrill kind of laid it out. So the reward is the Eagles get the 2 seed. The reward would be multiple home playoff games, right? They would be at home in the second round, assuming they win the first round game. The only road game they would have to play would be the NFC Championship game, and that's assuming, again, the 1 seed wins their game. Last year the 1 seed lost their game, so the Eagles got the home title game. So that is a big difference. But I think the other part is the Eagles can, in a way, decide who they want to play in the first round, right? If they lose on Sunday, they're locked into the 3 seed.
Yeah, they got Green Bay, right?
No, that would mean the Rams or the Niners.
Okay, not Rams or Niners. Okay.
Rams or Niners if the Eagles end up the 3 seed. Let's say they sit their starters. Then they're going to play the Rams or the Niners. If they win and they get the help they need, the Eagles would play the Green Bay Packers. Now, I think that is a pretty big difference if we're looking at it like just about 2 weeks from now.
I'd rather play the Green Bay Packers
me too.
the first week out.
I think the Eagles would be about a 5 or 6 point favorite over the Packers.